I spend almost no time actually watching the TV.
Yeah.
I just sit there looking
On your
at my
phone?
phone.
It's obnoxious, and I do the same thing, and so does my wife. And so I sit there and I wonder. She'll ask me occasionally, like she is watching and I'm not, and she'll say like, "Oh, what did he say just then?" And I just look at her like, you know damn well I'm not watching this show.
Well, here we are.
My favorite day of the week,
It's Hump Day Eve.
Hump Day Eve. It's come again.
Oh, gosh. And, only secondary to Lose Day.
Yeah. That used to be my favorite day.
I know, but thank goodness we've got our sponsor and that wonderful page. Hump Day is every day is Hump Day.
Every day is Hump Day. Leave it to you, Lou, to get the words exactly right.
I know. Well, we might lose our sponsor if I'm not careful.
You might lose your sponsor.
Oh, thank you for that. There is a Lou in every loser, as a friend of mine has occasionally reminded me, which also reminds me we might as well introduce the show.
Sure.
This is the Hot Lou Show.
Woohoo!
Welcome. And I am your host, Lou Abramowski, or additionally known as Hot Lou.
And I'm his sidekick, Mike. I am now committed to the bit of never having something I say every episode to introduce myself.
You did really well, I think, in the first couple of episodes.
Yeah, I get bored with it.
Yeah.
It's kind of your bit. I don't want to stomp on your bit.
Well, we can each have our own.
Yeah.
There are lunatics that, have their favorite co-host. Remember, we had
that's right.
We had an episode dedicated to
Yep.
Hot Lou versus the three hot mics.
We did.
Voting on it.
Speaking of which, if you enjoy this show, we'd sure appreciate it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your podcast app of choice.
Yeah, out of 5 stars. Because, we threw down the gauntlet when Shayla was in to try to get more reviews, and it spiked up. And it's been sitting in the low double digits ever since.
Yeah, we're not happy with you lunatics' ability or your capacity to go out and share this the last couple of weeks. So you know what? Get out there. I have another gauntlet. I have 2 gauntlets. Or I had one, and I threw it down.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to throw the other one.
Throw it. Or you just did.
I just did.
Okay.
I don't have a soundboard.
Well, that's all right. We can add it in post.
Yep,
We've
we'll add
been
it in
told
post.
that.
Yep.
Yeah. And you know what? If you are one of those lunatics, then what you could do is just go create multiple iTunes accounts and just start putting up a bunch of reviews.
Yeah, what else are you doing?
That probably won't get you suspended from.
Yeah. What are you watching, Lord of the Rings?
That could be a while till you get to the next episode of the Hot Lou Show.
Yeah. You're somewhere quiet for 17 hours. Just start making iTunes accounts and leaving us 5-star reviews. This is what I'm going to do tonight.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
5 stars out of 5.
Well, and you know what? I recently had this experience where I realized every time I'm watching a show on Netflix or, whatever streaming service I'm watching, I spend almost no time actually watching the TV.
Yeah.
I just sit there looking
On your
at my phone.
It's obnoxious, and I do the same thing, and so does my wife. And so I sit there and I wonder. She'll ask me occasionally, like she is watching and I'm not, and she'll say like, "Oh, what did he say just then?" And I just look at her like, you know damn well I'm not watching this show that we've invested many hours and many dollars in.
Yeah, there needs to be a streaming companion app that lets you like scroll through your social media and or whatever you're consuming.
Right.
And also follow the show on your phone that's on your TV at the same time.
Mad Men and The Handmaid's Tale was just a complete merger to me. I couldn't tell the difference. I didn't know what we were watching and when.
So, welcome celebrity lister Reed Hastings for your companion mobile app to Netflix to help out. I'm sure you're already aware of it and it's already in production, but if you need any help, I've got a really good tactic that he might want to consider.
Is he still running Netflix? He's kind of the grand old man of streaming at this point.
Yeah, we might as well get our crack research team on that to see. But last I checked, he was still at the helm.
Reed Hastings. All right.
Wow, it's like the Willy Wonka factory over there.
Interns today.
Mm-hmm. All millennials. So, but the tactic that I was going to mention is something that a customer of mine was really, really struggling with. They internally didn't have the time, expertise, or resources to run their own social media, which made Evergreen actually an amazing product for them because they got to set it up, turn it on once, and then it was just publishing for them automatically all the time. But what ended up happening wasn't really reaching anybody because they were an information security company, which, this might surprise you, Mike, is not a very popular business to follow on Facebook.
What?
Yeah, I know we're all shocked. The entire research team just turned and gave us this look like, I would follow that.
Yeah.
Well, you're a research team in millennials. So one of the, we had a little brainstorming session, and what we came up with, and we've reused this now. And in fact, we might eventually talk about it a little bit as we're doing an experiment related to this. Not quite exactly like it, but we are. We being Mike and I.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we did is, instead of trying to get people to follow this business on Facebook, which was, a B2B software business, which is kind of the most challenging business to get people to follow, is we created a secondary page that was partially branded that was called Daily Security Tips from XYZ.
And that makes sense. I mean, I've been thinking about this since I think we've discussed it on the show in the past and off the air. That why would you? I mean, just it's sort of an odd thing to build up a following for a specific company, in a certain space. I mean, I'll just throw my own company under the bus as I have in the past.
Yeah,
we provide services to other companies or nonprofits. They're usually in the public affairs space.
right.
It's an odd thing for us to try to generate content to on our own to sell, to toot our own horn.
To what purpose? Yeah.
To what purpose? I mean, as far as like, we want to generate business. Okay, so tooting our own horn, we have competitors, but oftentimes our clients are not all that interested in us being out there talking about the work we're doing. We're a little bit like like Oz, right?
Don't look behind the curtain.
Don't look behind the curtain. And so this is a very practical thing for my company to consider doing.
Yeah, and it's a question I get all the time. Obviously, because people want to know why they should have a Facebook page. So what I do is I turn back the clock for them and I say, put yourself in the mindset of a 2001 business owner, and you turn to the marketing millennial and ask them, what do I need a website for?
Yep.
You might remember those days.
100%.
Yeah.
You and I at that time talked about starting a company that would provide websites for political candidates. And I believe at the time I would say to you, Lou, why would a political candidate need a website?
And I think only a few years ago, you'd asked the question, what does a political candidate need a Facebook page for?
Right.
And I think those questions and the answers are almost identical. So I'd say the first two kind of most practical ones for, say, Weber Johnson is, one, legitimacy, right? And I know that's a little bit challenging to buy into, but I do think there is something to be said about trying to sell to a new client or a new customer, and they're doing a little bit of research and they find that you don't have any sort of Facebook page. They might wonder why.
Yeah.
In the same way that, in 2001, 2002, if you were being sold a product by a company and they didn't have a website, you might wonder why they didn't have it.
Yeah, exactly.
The existence of it, especially one that looked professional and up to date.
Had this conversation yesterday that our website is probably nobody's ever going to Google, who do I hire for public affairs in Minnesota? They're probably already going to know us by the time they're Googling some version of that. But
Right.
if they find our website and it's something I did in my living room, and I did because it would look like,
Right.
it would look like it was from 2001.
Right. So that's definitely one of those reasons, is there's this opportunity to create just a little bit of more legitimacy to your business. So when people are evaluating whether or not they want to purchase your product, become a customer or client, that exists, that goes a long way. Secondarily, there is a little bit of vanity to it that I think that your own team can have this opportunity to kind of broadcast who they are and add a little bit of personality, which also can potentially attract new employees. So you've got an opportunity to have a little bit more personality on the existence of that Facebook page that might give the employees that you have a little bit of a speaking voice in terms of broadcasting out to the public, and give somebody from the outside a peek inside to whether or not they might want to work with you, because you find a little bit more, I think, in social media, personality behind the actual business. So those two reasons are very soft to very, I would say, somewhat uncompelling reasons. And the third one is more of a long-term strategy, and that's that by having a Facebook page or any sort of social media profile with a larger following, and as that following grows, you actually have an opportunity to promote yourself for free because of the list that you have, and it doesn't cost anything to publish on Facebook.
Right.
There's a ton of amazing tools out there. We're familiar with a ton of them, including a sponsor of the show, Evergreen.
Yeah. And obviously it's blowing up in the certainly in the camel community. The subscription rate is just through the.
It's been trending.
I mean, it's like a 2-humped camel version of the trend line. It dropped a little bit in the middle, but then went right back up.
It's certainly not the hybrid camel version.
Oh no! And let me just be a little bit camel racist here for a minute. The hybrid camel is
careful.
It's an abomination. It shouldn't exist. Right? I mean, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, hybrid camel fans.
I'm just worried that we're about to get canceled.
By the hybrid camel lobby?
Well, I have no idea what the hybrid camel lobby customer base looks like. Are they going to protest this show?
I got to think these are like genetically modified. These are people who are out there trying to change God's creation into something just terrible.
Well, it could end up having a backfire effect.
If a Bactrian camel and a dromedary camel just happen to meet up, but I'm not going to stand in the way of that relationship. But by God, humankind should not engineer that sort of thing. They're just hideous. They're just hideous.
Well, this could end up having one of those backfire effects where a bunch of protesters come protesting the Hot Lou show, only to have the people who are on your side of this argument actually become fervent supporters of the Hot Lou show.
Yeah, well, let me tell you, if the hybrid camel universe wants to try and get here on their preferred mode of transportation, which I assume is the hybrid camel, they'll never find the place.
And if you're part of the hybrid camel lobby and you've got a company, say, I don't know, Anderson Johnson PA.com, and you're having trouble building an audience, what I might suggest you do is create an additional Facebook page.
Oh, this is a great idea.
Yeah. Supporting the hybrid camels, and that should be a lot easier to build a large list. And as you grow that list, what's interesting is while it might be difficult for you to build a big following for your business specifically, and that's a challenge, and maybe a challenge that seems both futile and purposeless, but what ends up happening is by having that secondary additional page that grows a list. Let's say your business page only has 150 followers on it and you're struggling to even get that far, but your hybrid camel enthusiast page starts blowing up and you have tens of thousands of followers on that.
What is wrong with you?
You can use a tactic from an earlier episode of the Hot Lou show where you cross-pollinate and you publish on your business page and then you reshare it on the hybrid camel enthusiast page.
I'm just looking at a picture of a hybrid camel right now, Lou.
I tried, by the way. It just filtered it out. I just saw a bunch of Bactrian and I couldn't find them.
Yeah, again, no problem with the Bactrians, dromedaries. I'm going to endorse this tactic. But the subject matter is just it's clouding my brain. I can't listen to it.
Yeah. Well, I feel like we've gotten a little off track.
That never happens on the Hot Lou show.
No, and if we still have our sponsor, I think right now is a really good time to roll the commercial. Hey, Mike.
Hey, how are you, Lou?
I'm doing great. What day is it?
What's Lose Day?
Lose Day, my favorite day. But I have a very close second.
Yeah, really? Because Lose Day used to be my favorite day, and now now Lose Day is my very close second.
All right, let's say what our second favorite day is.
All right, 1, 2, 3. Hump Day. Wow.
What?
The only thing that's wrong with Hump Day is that it can't be every day.
It only comes once a week.
Mm-hmm.
It seems unfair.
Yeah, and if you are confused about the different kinds of camels, like dromedary or Bactrian, or the elusive and genetically offensive hybrid, then you too can celebrate Hump Day every day, whether it be a Lose Day, a Thursday, the terrible Saturday, or any other day.
When I'm waiting for Hump Day to come around, Saturday is just miserable because it's like halfway away from the last Hump Day and only halfway to the next one.
Yep. The camels featured on this page, Lou, range in all the different variations of camels. They're in different pictures. One of them appears to be in mid-spit.
Wait a minute, what page are you talking about?
Oh, it's called Every Day is Hump Day.
What? There's a page on Facebook dedicated to Hump Day?
Yep, and you can participate with all your favorite humpy friends talking about these delicious camels and all the things they contribute to our universe, Lou.
Wow, I'm on it right now, and this is fascinating because some of the camels are dromedary, some of them are Bactrian.
And there's that one hybrid on there that needs to go away now.
Well, we'll talk to the admin of that who is clearly using Evergreen software to ensure that it publishes every single day.
Well, fabulous. You owe it to yourself and to all your humped friends, one hump or two, to go to Every Day is Hump Day.
Wow, gosh, I'm so glad we didn't lose our sponsorship after that little tirade you on the hybrid camels.
I don't know why we would. Any responsible camel enthusiasts are divided appropriately between those who support the Bactrian or the dromedary. That's just the nature of the beast.
Okay, you know what?
Which unlike the hybrid camel, there is no nature to that beast.
I'm 90% in your camp right now.
I'm talking you out of it.
I'm just a little fearful about losing our sponsors because we've gotten this far without being canceled.
I'm going to stop. I'm just going to... this really does speak for itself, so I'm going to just let it go.
Terrific. Well, what I wanted to just make sure that we did here today was talk about this specific strategy. And if you are an organization or company really, really struggling to get people to like your page, follow your page, engage with the content that you have, think about not necessarily the industry that you're in, but think about the topic and how you might create a topical page specific to your industry.
Yeah.
Build an audience around that, and that will allow you and I would say even empower you to start creating a list that then you can market to for free within whatever that industry is.
No, it's brilliant. And my suspicion, Lou, is that in the future we may hear more about a real-world application of this.
If we make it that far in the Hot Lou Show.
You think the camel people have that much, specifically the hybrid camel people, have that much sway? I don't buy it. We'll see. This is going out. How do podcasts work? This is going out live? This is live.
Sure.
Okay. So bring it on, hybrid camel people.
Yeah, we have yet to be canceled, and our crack research team is working on some other thing. I think we keep forgetting to ask them to see if we can actually get canceled or not. But every time I hit that publish button, it keeps working.
There it goes.
Yeah. So anyway, that was a perfectly simple and executable strategy by pretty much any listener here. And I would say that, if you've got a purpose in your life, it doesn't have to be necessarily about your company or your organization. There might be an opportunity for you to just create a page like this to create some sort of, challenge or objective in your life to try to make that happen.
Yep.
Yeah.
This is great. And as you said, it's just a little creativity and you're accomplishing the same objective, but just in a slightly off-kilter way. That's kind of, I try to live my life by that thesis, Lou.
Yeah. And if we've got anything to be thankful for with this episode, I think it's that we didn't talk about fairies one time.
Not one time. We didn't even hear the word fairy in this episode.
No, we haven't heard fairy the entire episode.
I was very impressed by the fact that we didn't get through to the fairy people. You'll have to wait till one more episode, probably. We'll get back to fairy talk.
Yeah. Well, I am very grateful as well that this is now turned into Camel Talk Weekly on Hump Day Eve.
Hump Day Eve.
So just want to thank you for listening. I am your host, Hot Lou.
And I am Mike. I'll come up with a catchphrase at some point.
We'll talk to you next Lose Day.